Dun, 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 dun. Hey everyone, D here, and welcome to our final review, the big finale discussion of Disney Plus's Obi-Wan Kenobi. Joining me, of course, through most of these reviews, the man himself, some smirking reviews, Rob Stone.
What's up, everybody? Good to be here talking about this finale and what we thought about it and where we think maybe things will go. So without further ado, let's just jump into it.
All right,
It's just us today. So
just you and me. Well, and Eric. Eric here in the chat.
and
How you
Eric.
doing, Eric? Man?
Yeah. Hey, what's up, Eric?
Hey, you guys got
Like
questions? Throw those out. We should have time to do so. I'll remind more people sort of jump in here as well. So yes, of course, everyone, thank you for joining us in the archives. Like, subscribe, all those fun things. Let's just sort of jump into it. And I'm excited about this particular discussion because through all of this, Rob and I have kind of had interesting, almost mirror views of the show. We see the same things, but we're taking it in kind of in different ways. And the positivity, honestly, that Rob has brought into this, I'm jealous of. I really wish I had more of it. Even though this show, this finale did give a lot of things many of us were looking for. So Rob, why don't you lead us off? Let's talk about the good stuff to start this off. Let's start off positive. What did you think of this finale? What grabbed you? What was the expectations you were hoping to be filled, and did it fill it?
I mean, I've been positive and I'm staying relatively positive, but in the end, I've been saying is just give me a really good fight and I'm good. Those were my expectations. I wanted to get a satisfying moment between Darth and Obi-Wan that if they were going to do this show and they were going to commit to them facing off again, like it had to, like you called it in the description of the video here, is the epilogue to the prequels. And thinking about it like that, this series, and especially this finale, did a good job with that. Like, finally, I mean, I don't know how many I's to dot or T's are left to cross anymore. I feel like we really milked this time in between. Some people would probably disagree with that, but over the years of watching Clone Wars and Rebels and this and Rogue One and it's hard to believe that there's more stories to tell from this time period. And like I also said to you before we went on about how like this show merely existing has to answer some things, just because if you're going to do this, you have to explain this, how this works canon wise.
Right.
And I do think that despite the simplicity that I think I talked about before of how they were just going to use some throwaway lines to explain some things. And to be fair, because they were said by people like Jimmy Smits and Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen, there was weight to those moments. So I really felt like, unlike the first time that Jimmy Smits says, wipe the protocol droid's mind, like as just kind of a matter of fact, they did a much better job at handling some of that, if not a little fast. But the fight, I really liked it. I did. I don't listen to what people are saying out there. I haven't watched any videos of what people think of this show or this episode, but I really liked what they did here. It made me, some of it reminded me of like Christopher McQuarrie paintings, kind of the scope and the backgrounds and stuff felt really painted, kind of like I was looking at art at times of Star Wars. Again, the acting was really good. I thought that they definitely gave Owen and Beru a moment to not just be people
Owen
sitting
and
in
Beru.
the desert, just one of the most depressing lives I think would in existence would have to be a moisture farmer out in the middle of the Dune Sea.
Desert babysitters.
So they gave them a moment, whether
Yeah.
that was needed or necessary or not. I think it was nice probably to get Joel Edgerton to come back. He's like, you're going to have to give me something. And I did kind of like seeing them get to have that moment, whether or not I think it was necessary or not. And again, every time little Leia's on screen, I just really that actress. Maybe this is her one-time thing, maybe she'll be a big-time actress later. But I really, really thought she just continued to do a fantastic job and felt really earnest. And again, there's some real love from the people that are making this.
Mhm.
Some of it, some love, like real love, and I feel that really comes from Hayden and Ewan. And their commitment to, after all these years, to choreograph a great fight scene. I loved used to watch them do their back and forth in the making of the prequels, and their commitment to the lightsaber work and all that stuff, even though it's all not really happening. I really like that we got to see it here and more of it and what they could do with the Force now, and definitely showed what M. Night Shyamalan could have done with the Earth power.
Oh, with Avatar. Yes. This is how you earthbend.
This is how you earthbend. They're actually showing us, like, this is what you could have done, M. Night.
I thought of the exact same thing.
Isn't that crazy? The very first thing I thought was Last Airbender. But that's not a bad thing.
No. And look, and I'm going to agree with you right now about Little Leia. Little Leia is going to be all over the merch. All over the merch. Okay. Galaxy's Edge is going to have a whole Little Leia section. Yeah, she's going to be living for a long time just on this work. But I assume she'll drift off into Marvel at some point. They'll cross everything over.
I want to thank Rena for commenting about the famously cheerful Rob. Wow. Just coming in here and going for the kidney punch.
Yeah, leave it to Rena to go right for the throat. Nice.
Hey, if it deserves cheeriness, it'll get cheeriness. If it doesn't, it'll get the other guy.
Rena, we love you. Yeah, well, and I think that was one thing that really did hit. That was one thing that a lot of people wanted. There was one thing that a lot of people were hoping going for was the big final fight, the big show off for Obi-Wan. And if you're going to say anything about this show existing for a reason, it's almost just to see this. Like, Sith wasn't right. We really want, and New Hope wasn't big enough. It was very simple and straightforward. We want the big kind of powered fight. And so if this is what you wanted, if this is what you were looking for, I think it delivered. I think you're right. We had big force powers. I love the fact that they've really amped up the glowiness of the lightsabers. Using those as primary light sources, I think, is just brilliant. It looks really cool. You really just following that action and everything. I thought that was great. And I'm glad that we actually got Hayden Christensen in the Darth Vader suit when he got that injury. I mean, I had to use it for the thumbnail pick for this episode because just that slice hit of, half Vader, half scarred Anakin glaring through, and kind of trading that bits of dialogue back and forth. I mean, this is fan service on the screen right here. This is what people have wanted, I think. And I think that they worked really hard to bring us a series that could give what everybody wanted. And you're right, having Ewan McGregor back, having Hayden Christensen back, knowing the work that they had put into things, to present and do that, and to give them that chance to, hey, let's do this again in maybe a more satisfying way, maybe in just a different way. I mean, depending on how you viewed the fight in Revenge of the Sith. I think it delivered on that. I think that it really gave some moments.
I really like that he got to in this fight do the position, do his thing that he did a million times on the Clone Wars, or a little bit probably in one of the prequels. But there was freedom of movement because they were on a set that wasn't going to fall, like threatening to fall apart and everything. They didn't have to they lowered the scope, but made it atmospheric, like you were talking about the lights and stuff. One of the reasons why the battle in Empire is so good, in before you even find out about the whole "he's your father" thing, is because of that like atmosphere and that feeling and that darkness, and the real only light source is the lightsabers for the most part. That's why like they gave it to us here. They knew what worked, but then decided to open up the area to fight in, but also make it feel close up and with rocks and things like that would be good to use. It like if anybody who played any of like the Force Unleashed games, picking up rocks and just whipping them around, it was all really fun. And so they were able to do something different. And again, we got to honestly just see Obi-Wan. I mean, despite getting buried there for a second, he kind of owned Darth and Anakin. And like I throughout this whole thing, despite him, I count letting him get away as failure in that like third episode. Was it the third episode?
Yes.
Again, because I said if he wanted him, he could have just gotten him if he really did. So he still gets away. He still leaves Vader in the dust, and with him escaping in episode 5 and getting attacked by her, and knowing that this was all set up by him, I feel like he owned him again. And I just feel like Anakin just Darth. This is like the fall, like how pathetic Anakin has become, and the Darth part taken over. And as much as I think Darth Vader is a great villain and a badass, I mostly really like seeing Obi-Wan live up to that moment that happens in A New Hope when Vader says, the last time I was the student and you were the master, and now things. Because seeing him here, you'd wonder how that's possible. Darth would be way more powerful, and it just again shows that like throughout the entire time of like Clone Wars and Revenge of the Sith and all of that, Obi-Wan never really I don't remember Obi-Wan ever really losing to Anakin in anything.
Sure.
And I just like to see that like all these years later, Anakin still hasn't learned. It's still there, like it just kind of still tracks for me that this journey that this character's on. And I don't want to keep talking too much more because I got so much more to say about this, but because I feel like Darth Vader has got to be like one of the loneliest characters in the world, because like he's sitting in his tower in Mustafar, like you would picture a grand evil wizard in high fantasy living at the top of a volcano. Just it's so like a rock band album cover kind of place to live, and he's just sitting there at his thoughts about knowing like that his whole life is
so
shattered around him.
In my back to tank, my scars
and
won't
knowing that
go
everything
away.
he did and he's lost, and he's still got like the idea that Obi-Wan, the good guy, is out there, and Ahsoka, his Padawan, he knows is still out there, and he's here by himself. And it made me think about how people that know that they're alone because of the choices that they've made, and yet they still rage against the people that are doing well.
Yeah.
And that kind of psyche is that kind of mental aspect of Darth Vader has always really gotten to me, about how he's just so fueled by that inner hatred that's what makes him powerful, is all that. I really that's what watching this in the end kind of made me feel about Darth Vader in the end. Nice. I've kind of been rambling. I'm sorry.
That's all right. I do want to point out, Eric Scott, thank you for bringing that up, because that was one of my favorite fights in the scene. Finally, someone went for the control box on Vader's chest.
Yeah.
When he pummeled that with the back of the lightsaber and just crushed that in. Yeah, you're right. That was cool. That was smart. I personally had some ups and downs with the fight, which we'll get into, but that was definitely one of my favorite moments. And I'm right on with you. Was like, yes, break him down so he can't breathe, and that's going to cripple him without having to kill him or anything like that. Which was great because that obviously not really Obi-Wan's pursuit. It's and I'm certainly glad that he didn't say a line like "There's still good in you" or anything like that. That we could leave that to Luke and have this more of like the goodbye bit. I appreciate them not doing that.
What if he would have asked him, "Hey, Anakin, does the sand still get everywhere?"
Oh God, yeah. Do you still hate sand, Anakin? Here's some more dirt. Yeah, no, yeah. He could have. You're right. They could have gotten real low. Any other kind of big moments in there that you enjoyed through this episode, real quick, before I start whittling away at things? As you know, I'm going to do.
Big, great things. Wow. Wow. Now you're really putting my now I'm really having to because I said I only wanted a great fight and I got it. Now I'm like, was there anything else?
Well,
I mean, no, most of it was just to me harmless whatever. We had to do this or we had to do that and we had to say this. And I mean, I liked when she put on her little outfit and stood there as like the Leia that was again. Sure. I think I'm almost now that I think about it, I feel like I've covered everything. I mean, did I like Qui-Gon showing up at the end?
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Yes.
We'll get to that. I agree with the Leia bit because that did kind of give her little arc. Is before she was dressing up and running away and not wanting to deal, and now it's like, oh, looks like this is her deciding, hey, I'm going to get involved and do something. So it did kind of finish that arc, I think, in a really nice way. So that's an excellent point.
Yeah, I think we're ready to just start.
Yeah,
chipping away, and probably still bringing some positive moments in that too,
for sure. And I want to say that any criticism that they're giving is really aimed for a more constructive point, more in the fact of, look, man, I love Star Wars, as you guys know. And I really love Ewan McGregor, and I was excited for what this show might bring. What constantly kind of got me is, I think, really more the streaming service aspect of it versus the theatrical. There was a lot of, I don't know, budgetary choices or anything like that, which took things away from me. And some canon stuff that I think, starting with the sequel trilogy, they've kind of just thrown out into the wind, like, let's not even think about this, which really is kind of frustrating for those of us that just sort of appreciate how this universe has been designed. And primarily what I'm talking about is the complete disregard of time and space. The opening scene has Reva on Tatooine. How did you get there? There was another ship on the planet that also got past the Star Destroyer and everything and had hyperdrive that they were able to. I know they're doing it for storytelling. And you could say that this is later on and then they're telling the other thing and it's just cut in order to have the tension, except they do have moments where they show in that this is happening kind of at the same time. And to me, it's just cheap storytelling. It's like you just want to get to this point and you don't care how you get to it. And part of the tension sometimes is the getting from A to B, not just what happens once you get there. And obviously there's time constraints in the series and stuff, but you guys also made and wrote the series, so that's kind of on you.
No, you're absolutely right. And I would not have put that scene at the beginning of the episode.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a misplaced scene, and it's not like, whoa, gee, wonder where she's going at the end of episode 5. So it's not like they had to. It feels like they put it there for somebody who just wanders into the room who'd never seen episodes 1 through 5 and went, oh, okay, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, it's one of those things that just instantly pull me out of the story.
yeah.
And I think that's the frustrating part. It's not so much of like of your choice. Do I like it? Do I not like it? This literally pulled me out of the story. And we had the same thing even when Obi-Wan ended up heading back to Tatooine after he got the force feel. Oh my God, something's wrong with Luke. You know, hyperspace is not instantaneous travel in the Star Wars universe. I'm just going to throw it. There's lanes, there's distances, there's reasons why you had the troll trade thing, which I don't want to get into because I know the whole episode 1 problems people have. And maybe I'm being a dick. And I will say that maybe I am. But if we have a designed universe and you're doing things that counter the physics and reality of that universe, you're bringing me out of it. You're destroying that suspension of disbelief. And speaking of, just man, some bad FX manting on that space battle. The ship flying around looked like an early sci-fi channel bit, and there are no TIE fighters on the Star Destroyers. You can't split forces. You can't follow one and go to the. There's no. And then after.
If this had been animated, I feel like it'd be more forgiving, because then it'd be like, we know, like if it was literally like an episode, like a long series of the Clone Wars, right? Literally and no Ewan McGregor and everything. I probably wouldn't have noticed it as much.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason. I think that animated just kind of gets away with that, because then you just go, oh well, you know, they're making it so that the kids understand and the kids don't need to think about whatever. But when you live action it, I don't know, for me it's just those things become more glaring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I mean, even the shot where we're just like, okay, we can only follow one ship, the giant Star Destroyer, A or B, then it just sort of drifts off. I'm like, did you just like move the mat out of the way? That's
couldn't he have just taken his shuttle? Like, why did he need the entire? I mean, you go, okay, I guess he really doesn't want him to escape, but like after he fights, right? It's not like they don't show him having difficulty getting away after he walks away from the planet.
Well, I know he just flies. The Star Destroyer's like, oh, well, I guess he won by the rules of battle. We must let him go.
He told us if he doesn't come back, if that guy leaves before him, we're doing honor. You know, we're gonna live by this honorable code. Right. No, that guy
parlay.
It's up there. God damn! I can't believe I can't say that.
Grand Inquisitor.
The Inquisitors. Yeah, he's like. He should have. I'm sure he had his like, get ready to fire on that planet if you see anything. Why are we even doing this? You know, like.
I know. So, if only there was someone to split our forces.
Yeah, and like, so the positivity, guys, that I had, it's there, but I was reserving it, like I said, for the fight. I only gave a crap about the fight. The rest of this stuff, I will go after, just like he's going after it.
And speaking of the fight, and this applies to both fights, and this is a total me thing, but can we stop with the fucking shaky cam?
Never.
Can we please stop with shaky cam does not equal action. Great fight. I couldn't see half of what was going on because the camera was doing all this to show that we're moving and action and stuff is happening. Ins, outs. I mean, yeah, the problem with the planet is you have a lot of browns, grays, and dust. So that also obstructs your viewing. Again, not that I need like crystal clear. I need this in IMAX clarity in front of me so I can drool on the television set.
I really didn't like how they kept cutting away from the fight to show what's going on with Reva and Owen and Beru. I know that it's not that in Jedi they cut between the battle above Endor and what was going on inside the Death Star, but
those are intrinsically linked.
But that was also like you cut into a very fast-paced space battle to a very angry, lightsaber battle. Not cutting away from one of the best fight, like the most iconic fights that should be, to a couple of farmers shooting at can you imagine if it was just like it wasn't even like an inquisitor coming to their house. It's just like that's not what you cut away to. Because anybody that knows the story feel there's no stakes.
And that's there
was some stakes with Obi-Wan because we know that both of them would walk away, but it's the scars of that, the history, the creation of more lore and history in this fight. It's only the other thing only you're cutting to is so that again two farmers can feel like for a second they were more than just farmers. And that, yeah, they had the guts and the moxie to protect Luke, and I'm supposed to care, but not when you're cutting away from the most important fight in the show.
Sure. And Silva, yes, thank you. Also, you guys are all awesome for reminding me of things that I have forgotten. When Vader buried Kenobi in the pit, he should have said, "I have the high ground now." I totally was expecting that.
I was thinking the same thing. Yeah, I think everybody was expecting it to like go, "Hey, you want to take a shot?"
Would this be too much?
Come on, jump up here, Obi-Wan. Come on.
So, wasted opportunity, or did they think it was too on the nose? Yeah, I don't know. You could go all the way.
He says that, and then Obi-Wan pulls him into the pit, and then he goes, "Now we're both down here." Like Laurel and Hardy or something.
Yeah, the robot chicken version of this will be awesome. Or the how it should have ended, probably.
In good things, though, I forgot to mention Ian McDiarmid.
Yes, and I definitely want to go back to him as well with the Force Ghost people.
Okay.
The final fights that inherently have no tension. While we do like the action in the Vader and Kenobi, we also know how that ends. We have Beru, Luke, and Owen versus Reva. Well, we know what happens to three of them.
And do you care what happens to the fourth? And it's like...
And that her plan was, all right, so my revenge for being almost killed as a 10-year-old is to go kill another 10-year-old.
And it would be different if she was so over the top. If she'd just been like one of the Inquisitors that's just like... foaming at the mouth, but they were trying to tell like this real poignant, like, oh no, I become the thing that I hate, which we've seen a million times. The kids haven't, but you know, they deserve better.
Yeah,
first off,
I agree.
If they're going to learn this lesson in a show, they deserve better than learning it like this. And it would have just been more fun or interesting if she was a more interesting written character. And instead of being this, we like again called it in episode 1 where this was all going. So if you know where it's going, you know how it's probably going to end, because you know that she's not going to kill Luke. So the only other thing is either she dies or gets redeemed. And I'd rather, since they didn't kill her in episode 5, which they should have not just because of plot making sense, but also because lightsabers to the gut kills you. And we talked about this and joked about this, and that's the first thing that Qui-Gon should have said to Obi-Wan. Because I was there with you this whole time, and then right after he says that, he goes, and I don't know how did she live through that? You know, why? You should have asked her that. Can you go back and ask her how that happened? Because
am I the only one that gets killed by a stab? Yeah. So yeah, I mean, not having tension. And to me, this is the reason why you stay away from canon in that sense. I mean, now Tayla had a great arc that ended tragically, and we were all surprised because we don't know anything about that character, and that allowed a certain level of flexibility. Which I think was great. I think the more that you stay around characters and actions that we know where they go, you kind of tie your hands. And for the big tension fight ending, again, we know where everybody ends up, so nobody's really afraid. And Luke never talked about some young adventure that he had, that shaped his life that we needed to know about. I mean, yeah, we found where he got his little T-16 model. That's awesome. But
yeah, that's just something that's like that's a 1%er joke, like thing. Like even I didn't remember that. And I'm like, what's the big deal about this stupid toy that everybody, and I was like, oh, I finally saw pictures from like, the original. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
we did need to know.
Were they trying to sell a bunch of them that have been sitting? Like, here, is that what it is? There's like a million of them sitting in a warehouse from back in 1977 that they were going to release. And
Kenner's like, we need to get rid of these.
Yeah, and we're like, oh my God, we have it. And we can even put them in retro looking boxes because they in the original retro looking boxes. And so they sell a bunch of these toys to people now going, get the same thing that young Luke has, and you can fly around and be a pretend Jedi on Tatooine.
Yeah. We don't know how Tala's holster survived a thermal detonator. We don't ask those questions. And who went back to get it after the thermal detonator? Yeah.
Did he say Rowan or Roken found it?
Yeah, but again, why did he go? What? Weren't they running it? Yeah.
Yeah,
anyway,
holy crap.
Don't think of the logic.
Now I'm like, what? Again, that's what's great about this is people can remind me of the things that I miss.
Poorly planned ambushes. Don't wait for the lightsaber wielding enemy to get into a clear open space and pull out this lightsaber before you fire. You shoot at them while they're in the confined space unarmed.
Yeah.
Anyway,
before they become.
I know for good guys and bad guys, you can't have them fight first. You can't have them do that. I totally get it. But again, you created this situation. I can critique the decisions you made when you followed it.
Yeah. God, it really is just like, again, this is made for kids. Got to keep reminding myself. Again,
yeah, but they deserve better, man.
They do deserve better. Yeah. Just because, like Stranger Things is still not the Goonies, okay?
Yeah.
And this isn't. Yeah. Oh, God damn it.
And let me get to one of my favorite things that I talk about all the time with this. They're gaining on us. Shield's failing. There's no hyperdrive. I'm going to have to draw them out. There's no time. Unless we want to take a few long, introspective, emotional one-on-ones for a minute. And then there's all the time in the world. Take your time.
Oh, yeah. I remember thinking that yesterday when I watched this was like, there's a couple of things that they've done. And they're not the only. This isn't exclusive to this show.
They Star Trek Discovery'd it.
When somebody goes, like when he's holding back the glass or whatever from the water, and he goes, get out of here. And they stand there like idiots. And it's like, and again, this, like I said, this isn't just this show that does it. A whole bunch of people just do that where they literally were told to run and they never go anywhere. They stand there through the entire thing just so that they could still hold the elevator open for them. Or when he tells everybody to go and get out of here when they're on the planet to get on the ship, and everybody's still fucking milling around, pardon my French, like they're at the farmer's market still like, I'm still going to make some time to go over and get some of that honey from that guy over there before I get on the ship. And then I got to go back to my, little hole in the wall and make sure I get my blasters and stuff. And then find my kids and then get them on here. And then in this, they have it's so important that I get out of here. Oh my God, you guys are all going to die in the future. But first, I got to go chase down a 10-year-old to explain to her why I'm going to be back and I'm going to make it's the.
Also, we have a hyperdrive in the shuttle, but I know
it's making easy jokes for Family Guy.
Yeah, we sadly are.
Sorry, go ahead. I cut you.
No. I think those are the big things. I'm not totally. I mean, we can continue to bust balls, but that's not really the fun part that we hear. And there were to me
kind of fun.
A couple of funny moments that I appreciated. Like, did you notice the Emperor using the Jedi mind trick on Darth Vader. I must get Obi-Wan. You don't want Obi-Wan. I don't want Obi-Wan anymore. You're right.
It was like the Cliff Notes version of the relationship, the horrifying relationship that Darth Vader has with Palpatine.
Sure.
It's horrifying.
Oh, yeah.
Pick up a book or a comic book somewhere, kids, and just listen to the dialogue between the Emperor and Darth Vader just in one issue. And you will get way better understanding of what it is than in here. And but that's still being said, like Ian McDiarmid.
It was still awesome seeing him.
I mean, the guy's still alive and kicking. Okay, guys, this guy has been playing this guy since Luke was in short pants.
Yeah.
Like Mark Hamill was still the plucky little actor, like, and here he is all these years later. And since at least I haven't seen Revenge, whatever. What's it? Rise of Skywalker. See, I can't remember what it's Rise of Skywalker.
Rise of Skywalker. Yeah.
Still haven't seen it. So I get to remember Ian McDiarmid before the mess that's inside that movie that I've heard. I get to remember him as just the guy getting thrown down the vent, and then seeing him here and there on Clone Wars and stuff.
We could do a watch party and just like punch ourselves in the. Anyway, yeah. So I kind of appreciate it. You're right. I mean, still seeing him, I appreciate. It's just like maybe you need to rethink yourself, Lord Vader. Oh fuck, boss is pissed. You're right. You're right, man. Fuck him. Fuck that Kenobi guy. I don't even know who you're talking about. I'm just, yeah.
He would have done something to him. To get him to forget this. He'd have put him on some crazy path that would have just run him through the ringer so that he knows not to step. Like this was just like a TV version of their relationship, and it just didn't quite have the same ring. But again, I think they needed to. You can't have this without having that. You have to establish why. Again, when I said about this show having to justify its existence and by putting it on that fully, but I mean, when you make this, you have to put in all these little details, like why wouldn't he go after him? Okay, because it's the Emperor saying, dude, get over your shit.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what he told him. And he passive aggressively said it.
Oh, totally, man. That's yeah.
He's he didn't even let him fit. He didn't even have to say what he wanted. He's like, well, if you can't get over your past, he just goes, no, you're my only boss.
Yeah. No. Again, I do like what he did, and it was great seeing him, but it was just, you're right, it was the total Cliff Notes version of that scene.
What if it was like Seth MacFarlane's version of the Emperor, and if they just cut away from, instead of having that scene, just put the scene in where the Emperor keeps getting called by Darth Vader from Family Guy, or no, Robot Chicken.
Yeah.
Where the Emperor, if they had just done that scene over again with live action, that would have been hilarious, but it would have still been a better representation of their relationship than what they did here. That's all I'm saying.
Answer that? No, I'm not going to answer. It's fucking Vader again. Just call it. Can I go after Kenobi? That guy needs to learn his place. Smells like burnt bacon and toast.
But other than that, again,
but again, a great scene.
Completely destroy the scene. We go, but it's good to see the actor again. Proves that he's still alive.
Well, speaking of seeing someone who's still alive, but also in ghost form, we did finally get our Qui-Gon Jinn appearance as basically an afterthought.
Yeah,
I mean, look. I know that you thought that he was going to come in a little bit later on. And I thought he was going to be more of the episode 5. I'm in my last moment. Or in this one, I'm in a hole. Vader's coming after me. I need to come in. That's usually the moment. Here was almost like an 80s sitcom tailplate. Like, oh, Obi-Wan, I was always here. You just couldn't see me. Qui-Gon. Dun, 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 dun. And the credits roll over. Which is why I think the next thing that we really want to see is the Obi-Wan Qui-Gon hyphenated half-hour comedy hour.
It's but to give the way that the corporation designed it, it's pretty on that level. It's pretty smart because it's the perfect way to say, if this is it, that's fine. If not, if you guys really like it, we'll do something with this kind of ending. But the thing is like I did the math in my head of how long a show like this could go on. Like how long would it have to be? And I'd say that you'd pretty much get what you need after one episode. You know what I mean? Like what could they really do with this? Just because, okay, like Vader's been told that he can't pursue this, people still know Obi-Wan exists now. So it's kind of like you can't reopen it because they would still have to figure out a way to keep Vader from like going, I told you he's still out there, you know, like, and he's just flaunting it. He thought he was hiding. He's not even hiding anymore because he knows that you got me like a little, you know. But the whole thing would just wear off. I mean, what are they going to do? Like, let's pick up Yoda, right? We're gonna fly to Dagobah. I'm gonna be like your co-pilot, ghost pilot, and we're gonna go to Dagobah. We're gonna pick up Yoda. We're gonna just rage. You know, we've got
a show with Baby Yoda and a show with Old Man Yoda.
I just don't know what they really could do with it. And for anybody who thought like who doesn't know Rebels, if you were hoping for like a season 2 Darth Maul versus Obi-Wan, that wouldn't happen unless they wanted to rewrite their own canon that they created in Rebels. Yeah, and I don't. Have you seen what I'm talking about? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, no, and it's a brilliant end to that whole arc and everything.
Honestly,
which is the concern that we were like, are you going to fuck that up? Because that was a great way to do it, and also very cerebral, which I love.
See, I thought that if they do it, it would be a way to do it better. Because I was really disappointed in. I felt like that whole plot in Rebels was just kind of shoehorned in. All of a sudden, we're just dealing with Maul and Obi-Wan, and then it's just over. The fight was like, over when Wolverine in a comic book finally got tired of Sabretooth and let him know just how easy it would be to kill him, and it just done. That's right. What it felt like in that, but I digress. So unless they want to rewrite their own canon, Maul was already killed by Obi-Wan on Rebels. Sorry, spoilers for Rebels, everybody. It's been out for a long time. I just saved you 20 minutes.
There you go. That's it. I mean, again, it's an interesting thing. I enjoyed it because it was a little more cerebral, and I thought that it was very Japanese in its way of approaching, which is always kind of a cheap way to my heart. So, but anyway, so those were kind of the big things. I mean, I think overall, the show did what it was meant to do, which again was to give you this scene, was to give you a big fight and kind of wrap things up. And they left it certainly at a point where if they want to do a season 2 of whatever story they can, because Obi-Wan's now back with the Force and feeling good and confident and knowing that there's Jedi out there to help. And I mean, they have very much left it open to him doing something, very much not going back and just watching Luke. I mean, he like closed this whole place down. It's like, well, we know something happens, obviously, because he has to come back.
And then you've got Reva, who's out there, who they could very easily announce the Reva versus
I've already seen rumors and discussions that they're already talking about a Reva show.
I'm going after the Grand Inquisitors, and I'm going to finish them once and for all. That's how they get back to the whole thing where she goes there and she frees all the people that are in Amber or some shit. That's where I predict that. But if they were going to make a show like that, she'd kill the Inquisitors and free the Amber people.
They could.
It would take 6 episodes to do it and drag it out.
Yeah. Well, honestly, this is where it kind of leads me with the Star Wars series, which I have been very excited for, and I still love Mandalorian, and I can't wait for season 3 to come out, and I'm very excited about that.
Yep.
But I have to say, it really has undercut my expectations on any show coming forward.
Yep.
For the most part. I mean, I've seen 2 seasons of Mandalorian. I know what to expect with that. Andor looks like a gritty, birth of the rebellion spy drama. It's not going to be that. Those elements might be in it, but there's also going to be a freaking 10-year-old. Okay? There's going to be a laughy droid. Okay? Jar Jar comes back in Andor. I'm telling you this right now. Please, God, no. What I'm saying is it's not going to be, it's definitely, whatever expectations we have, to me, I've got to lower it to go, okay, now, how are they going to make the show for an 8 to 10-year-old? And that's the level of expectation I'm going to have to put on it. And and honestly, if I can do that, I might enjoy it more. Because as we've talked the past couple of weeks, one show that is definitely a kid show, about a kid, oriented around a kid, told in a colorful, kiddish way that I'm enjoying the hell out of on the same network is Ms. Marvel.
Yeah.
Which is just a blast. I know it's a kid show. I've accepted that. I'm there with the story now. Star Wars isn't a show that's designed for 8 to 10 years old. It's designed for teenagers. The complexity of teenage life.
And I finished Miss Marvel's 2nd and 3rd episode after not finishing the 2nd last week, and I agree.
Yeah, and I'm that's something that I've really enjoyed, looking forward to, and I really want to see where they're going next. And yeah, I mean, I've got some questions, and there's some things I'm like, spend a little extra time on this. Maybe you're focusing, but it doesn't undercut my enjoyment because again, no. I have accepted that this is the story that's going to be told, and I've agreed with that from the beginning. And I think with Obi-Wan, they tempted a gritty story of Obi-Wan in his older life being confronted and having to deal with a new, challenge, new thing in his older life. And I think what they sold us was the little Leia show.
I'm irritated that they're not able to it feels like they're not able to, I don't know if that's the right way to put it. It feels like if you wrote it, the story that, let's say they gave it to whoever the first person was that they gave this to, right? Mm-hmm. Or when they talked about it and they said, what do we want the Obi-Wan Kenobi show to be? And that one pure story that came out that's about Obi-Wan Kenobi and his relationship with, Darth Vader and maybe Luke Skywalker or something like that. I don't know. Similar to what they did here, but it just feels like they don't get to, like we've talked about, there's things that they throw in that drag out the plot, that feel like this show could be just an hour and a half movie if they really wanted it to be. I'm trying not to crap on anybody's the way that they enjoy things, but I just feel like creators are kind of hamstringed by what the studios want them to put in everything.
Sure.
Even if it goes against the story that they're trying to tell. I look at Obi-Wan Kenobi and I hate to, again, be like the idiots out there are right in a way, but for the wrong reasons again. And that's that they're just, this should be the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. It shouldn't be about 3, 4, 5, 6 other plots and Obi-Wan Kenobi. Like the Book of Boba Fett wasn't really hardly at all about Boba Fett. It's all these things that they make something, they throw a title on it, like you say, Andor. It's going to be about Andor, but not really. He'll get about 30% of the plot, and then the rest of it will be divided up into whatever they want to tell, aside from that main character's arc, which his arc is the only one that mattered. Like, in this, it should have just been about Obi-Wan Kenobi, but they wanted me to care about Tala. They wanted me to care about Reva. They wanted me to care about Owen and Beru. They wanted me to care about Leia. They wanted me to care about Haja. They wanted me to care about just all these things that and some of them fit with the Obi-Wan story, but a lot of this other stuff just, it's like, why is it here? And I know you have to fill your world with other characters so that your character's not alone in it, but all the subplots that they go, okay, well, we have to put this in there, so then we have to create a subplot for this person. It's like, well, then why don't we just don't have them in there? But they can't do that anymore. Everything has to, everybody, I don't know.
Well, I think it's just that the damage from the urge of let's connect everything, let's use these characters that people know, let's use all of this, and I think it ultimately ends up hamstringing you because again, you have stories and final battles that have no tension because we know where everything comes up. You can get us in the action, which is exciting, but we're not truly invested in the story. I mean, the idea of Jedi being hunted and Obi-Wan being pulled from that, where there is this rumor that Obi-Wan's out there and Vader is chasing that and Obi-Wan can't be caught, but he's got to help or he's caught up in something. I mean, you could build tension in there. You could get some interesting storyline without the danger of tripping over canon and going, well, how did this and where did this and now are these and having characters that you know their fate. Bring him off to the world where he's the only one that you know and everyone else is new.
Yeah.
Because then you can tell whatever story you want and you can build that tension and have a satisfying finale in that sense without necessarily tripping over stories that are already told or then idiots like us going, yeah, but now it doesn't mention when he says that this was the last time since you were the master and I was a student, then it's not the sound right. Okay. Don't feed those people. Don't feed us, man. Feed us with enjoyment. Feed us with the good stuff. Not things where we just go, oh, come on, man. That was just a cheap move.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, they could have even done it where the person that Obi-Wan has to find is Reva, like this lost Padawan who got away from who's running from the Inquisitors. They did her escape and him trying to get her to safety. And then they work together, and that's how there's so many different versions that they could have taken this.
Well, then you could have
nothing to do with Luke. They had nothing to do with Leia. They had nothing to do with all the canon that would have gotten them in problems. But they had, like you said, you got to have the 8-year-olds in there. You got to have it can't just be. It's the shows by committee, I guess. They have the checklist on the board of we're going to make this. We have to figure out how to make all of these things that have nothing to do with our main story fit.
Right.
And I still can't believe that with all of that, they only limit them to 6 episodes. If 8 at least, if you want to really flesh out and make people care about these subplots, where those people can have a little bit more time to be developed, because you can get a lot of development in these shows. Like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was always able to take characters that might only be around for 4 or 5 episodes, but by the time that 5th episode comes and they leave, there's a mark that they leave behind.
Yeah.
And in this, these people they don't leave any kind of imprint on me long, it's going to stay with me forever. I'm not going to remember Tala in 5 years. I'm not going to remember Roken. I'm not going to remember the guy I don't remember his name, the guy who sacrificed himself when they escaped from the prison. And Wade? I don't remember the pilot. Yeah, Wade. I don't remember the pilot that wept for him.
Penis. No, Pen 15. No, it's the actors from that.
The actors from that, yeah. But I don't remember her character name. I barely, and it's not those actors' fault, or it's not the character or the actor's fault. It's the fault of the people who put these things in there to just stretch everything out. But also to fill in what they have to put into these shows. to like satisfy everyone,
Mhm.
you ultimately make a product that's just so vanilla that only the most vanilla people are going to like it.
And look, and I'm going to tell you, even as much as I've harped on it, I would love to be one of those vanilla people. I would love to be lost for a half hour every week when this comes out and not go, what? So I don't know if anyone from Star Wars is watching this, please hire me. No, but seriously, it's why I want to try and be constructive and talking about the things of not just, oh, this was dumb. It's like, no, this didn't work, and this is why this didn't work.
Yeah, and if you're late to the show, just watch the first 15 minutes, okay? We were
very positive.
I was all like, "Yay, look at that!" You know.
Rob got the positive note, the ever positive Rob note here from Reva. So I mean, we know how that works. All right, so coming up, or well, I don't know. Any last thoughts or things or expectations from a season 2? Or I mean,
I'm just glad that Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor got to come back and dust off their Jedi training and have a really cool fight. I know shaky cam bugged you and everything. Like, I just liked seeing them just really go at each other, and with all the rocks and that slice to the head and like the bash to the chest, and and just again showing like how Darth Vader just never could completely get over on Obi-Wan, because Obi-Wan goes by when they show him buried and he's got all those terrible thoughts in his head, right? Those are the same kind of terrible thoughts that Anakin had in his head when he was freaking out and going to the dark side. And Obi-Wan is dying and he's got those same dark thoughts and he remembers the light. And that's why it's like that power that he has. Like, that's good Star Wars stuff, everyone.
Yeah, totally. Totally.
So then why can't you figure out how to do that for all the other, and it doesn't have to be every scene, but like the tone of it should feel like that. The same way that you get the feeling when you watch whatever series of this stuff that you like. For me, it's when I turn on Empire Strikes Back. And I get that warm feeling. I can watch and even the prequels. There's something about all of it that takes me to a time and a place where I wasn't so cynical and jaded and they didn't take the books out of canon yet, and
sure.
All these for me most of my life is really good Star Wars stuff, and it still can be, and I refuse to let any of the other bad, the stuff that I don't quite like or click with to affect that. But this just doesn't feel like that. It just feels like a product because they can't be consistent enough in the tones and things like that I don't sit around waiting for the one Star Wars moment in a Star Wars show. I want to always feel that from beginning to end. And even in the cartoons, I feel it at times. Darth Vader in season 2 of Rebels was scarier in those scenes because I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know those characters had ever met Darth Vader. So there were stakes. And it was like, oh my gosh, what will happen? And I got those feels. And this just still, as much as they can put in a moment that feels Star Wars, they're just consistently a product, just like Transformers cartoon and G.I. Joe and Ninja Turtles and all those things that we love that were actually just glorified commercials. The commercialism of this just overwhelms the few moments that are pure Star Wars. But like I said, I personally, like, as we're talking about this and we get all these feelings out, when I'm done with this video and we're done talking about it, I'm not going to sit here and stew over it though.
Oh.
I'm not going to suddenly go, you know what, I'm bringing my Twitter account back just so I can rip into this. I'm going to move on. And I can, just like I said, I can pick up one of these books and just go, there we are. That's the stuff. So in the end, I got what I wanted from this because I said I wanted a big fight.
Good. Right on. Ramona Floyd, love you. Not vanilla, I'm chocolate. You are awesome. Also, I agree with you. Andor does look good as well. I'm just afraid of it. Also, I heard that Andor is longer. We get more episodes on that. I haven't confirmed it, but I would be excited if they wanted to tell a bigger story. Again, I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna have high expectation. I'm just afraid of now this undercut of what they keep kind of doing with these shows. But that's not anything we're gonna have to worry about much longer, folks, because while we may be wrapping up things from a far, far away galaxy next week, we're heading off to the apocalypse, old West style, baby, with the return of Westworld Season 4. Got a question, actually, for you. Ramona Floyd mentioning 12 episodes for Andor. Thank you. That is something that I had heard. So that's going to be a big, long thing. But no, next week, I'm going to be kicking off my reviews of Westworld that premieres this Sunday night on HBO. Now, because episodes are on Sundays and Thursday is several days away from that, was thinking of jumping this show to Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern for the run of that. What do you guys think? Everybody who's here in chat. Do you guys prefer staying on Thursdays? Do you want to wait that long, or do you want to shift days up and try and get that discussion a little bit quicker on Tuesday nights? You want to drop a little note in the chat right now, or throw something in the comments afterwards. At the moment, I think I'm going to look, at least for the first one, I'll probably drop on Tuesday night, and I will also to be doing that solo. I've got a lot of notes, a lot of things to cover over. It's been a long time since I've done a solo show, so I won't have anyone else to lean on when I screw up. So that should make things real interesting. But I am sure Rob will be joining us in future episodes on that. Get a few people that want to jump in on that as well. So really, really looking forward to. I was concerned that my life had just changed and I was all depression and I couldn't get any joy out of a show. And then I rewatched season 3 last week of Westworld just to catch myself up. And oh God, it's so good. Are there problems? Sure. A few issues I have. Yeah, but they're minor because the story is so damn good. So, yeah, I'll let you guys know for sure. But yeah, next episode will definitely be out on Tuesday night. We'll do that first one there. And then we'll see as comments come up to see how everybody wants to take that. So I think that will wrap things up. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on this wonderful review. Really was looking forward to the show. Still glad we talked about it. Still loving the Star Wars. Just want to talk about more positive things. And next week because it's gonna be so good. Rob, any final thoughts and where can people find you?
I'd like to comment on Ramona Floyd saying we should watch The Man Who Fell to Earth. I was watching that. I've watched the first few episodes of that, and I really like it.
Yeah,
I really like it. Oh gosh, the guy. Why do I suddenly forget his name?
Chipotle. Man, fuck. I see it in my mind, but I'm gonna.
Chiwelte Ejiofor.
That's right. Thank you. I was gonna really screw that up.
I think I almost said it right. Is fantastic on that show, as well as
he's awesome in everything. No, yes, it's a great cast.
28 Days Later. Why can't I remember her name? Pirates of the Caribbean. Naomi Harris.
Yes.
Bam! I knew I could get it out of me. Fantastic, and yeah, I really like that story talking about the old David Bowie movie and the same continuity. I really like it. I will be finishing it at some point. But yeah, that's a great show for people if you haven't watched it. Check that out. You can find me here.
Yeah. Cool.
You can find me here. I am doing my own personal walkabout still. So I am just playing games and reading comics and watching stuff and saving it all up for the poor person who accidentally says, "Hey Rob, have you seen Top Gun?" And then they get the full force of a guy who hasn't talked about shit for a while.
Watch out, folks, if you run into Rob. Get ready for that conversation.
Don't ask me about Top Gun. You won't like my response.
I haven't seen it yet, but I did see Multiverse of Madness finally. So if you guys want to print out spoilers on tweets and discussions, I could finally do that. Fun show. Good enough. Yeah, we're gonna wrap things up. I don't have Showtime, which is why I haven't really finished watch of The Man Who Fell to Earth. Saw the first episode or two free on Amazon.
Got it. Yeah.
Which is good. And actually, you should do that if you're interested at all. Go and check those out. If it grabs you, then it's something that worth pursuing. If it doesn't, then you don't have to spend any more money than any more streaming services than you already do.
Oh yeah, Jimmy Simpson is in that show. I forgot. Yeah. From Westworld. Yes.
Oh yes.
Yes.
Yeah. He's always creepy.
Oh, yeah.
Always creepy.
All of a sudden, we've this Obi-Wan series that we've done, man, has been a lot of fun, everybody, because we've just been. This is like the most free form we've ever done. One of these is where we're talking about Obi-Wan and Ms. Marvel, the boys, Man Who Fell to Earth, philosophy, our own personal angst.
We like to cover it all.
And I just realized that I got a shirt that says Wolverine. I got a Wolverine. I'm surrounded by Wolverine. I didn't even know it. I gotta get help. And right here, there's Wolverine.
Okay, now that's a sign you need help. I was going to cut it off before, but now you definitely do.
I need help.
Wood, thank you so much for joining us. We'll catch you next time.